We are live streaming here on the Real Kyper at noon show. It's Friday. And how about those storylines going into the weekend? How about last night? It wasn't that long ago. What was it? Sunday, we had 4 series, all up 3-1, and we asked that important question. Okay, who wants to get out of the bubble fast enough? Which team is just going to bail, quit, go home, had enough? And we wondered. And although the Boston Bruins pushed hard, we know they didn't make it to a Game 6. But not only did the 3 other series make it to a Game 6, we've got 3 in Game 7. And those storylines are front and center here on the Real Kyper at Noon show. Soon to be joined by Doug Maclean. We'll get his thoughts and ideas on so much going into this weekend. And for the Vancouver Canucks and the Vegas Golden Knights, back-to-back on a Game 7. Now, I did a little bit of research, and what I could find out is when was the last time we saw a Game 7 go back-to-back? And while I can't confirm that this was the last one, the one that I remembered the most was a overtime goal by Andrew Burnett in 2003. And I recall Minnesota Wild being down 3-1 to a very powerful Colorado Avalanche led by the likes of Forsberg, Sakic, Blake, Adam Foote, and yes, Patrick Waugh. And I believe when Minnesota won Game 6, they played the following night. And Andrew Burnett scored the overtime goal. No question, the biggest goal in his career. And I bet you if he tells that story, 17 years later, it's as if it happened yesterday. And what probably wasn't reported back then, too, is how upset Colorado was with the officiating. They called meetings the next day. They had their owner in. There were threats that the officiating was so bad they actually wanted to sue the NHL. Can you imagine that? Suing the NHL. I'm sure Doug Maclean's felt that way on a few occasions. But no question that I'm sure many teams are wondering who their officials are going to be. Mac, you probably know on a few occasions. That's maybe one of the first things you want to know. Let's bring in Doug Maclean now and talk a little bit about the prep work on a back-to-back Game 7, Mac. You don't like it at all, do you?
I think it's a joke. But I used to want to sue the league once a week for bad officiating. and the referees wanted to sue the league for bad coaching. So anyway, look, what is going on? We've got a Game 7 tonight. Vancouver.
Well, hold on. You listen. The players made their choice to take 2 days off for well-documented reasons. And Mac, you gotta play the games.
I understand that.
Every day costs $1 million to these owners. They're going to cram them in.
Why is it that Vancouver and Vegas get a double back-to-back in their series? So you've got 7 games in 10 days, and you have 2 back-to-backs mixed in there. I mean, come on. That to me, that's pretty tough. And especially when you've got a goaltending situation on one team in particular. I don't like it. I know they had to take the 2 days off.
You're going to question it until it's your money that's being spent every day on tests, hotel, food.
I'm going to question it if my team loses.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
And my team is Vancouver. And I don't want to see Vancouver lose because of playing 7 games. And I know Vegas had to, but Vegas have got 2 goalies. One they don't seem to want, and Vancouver have 2, but their number 1 guy that was their MVP can't play, although Demko's done a pretty good job.
I was so excited about today when I woke up. I looked at our board, our lead into our YouTube channel, and there it was. Who's your Game 7 goalie? I loved it. We had both goalies from Vegas, both goalies for Vancouver. But the real story here is the attention that the loss gave Vegas. That is the number one story here. And I found it so interesting, Mac, when I saw Peter DeBoer on the podium for his post-game comments, and he said, when he was asked about his goaltenders, I don't know, I haven't even thought about it yet. And it was as if I was watching Pinocchio, and every syllable that came out of his mouth, it would be like the nose would grow longer, longer, and longer. Don't tell me for 1 second he didn't know then. And I'd be really surprised if both Lehner and Fleury didn't know then who Game 7 goalie was going to be.
So I suspect right after Pinocchio, or I should say Peter, said that, Alan Walsh phoned him and said, have you made any decisions on your goaltending yet, Peter?
I would think Walsh would stay away from that. Even Walsh would be smart enough to stay away from that.
So polls across Canada are saying Fleury's the guy. The fans are saying it's going to be Fleury. No, I'm sorry. I will be shocked if it's Fleury, and I'm sure you will be.
It's not Fleury, folks. Listen.
No,
listen. It's not Fleury. It's Lehner. Lehner knows already. There's a good chance Fleury knows already.
But look,
that decision wasn't made last night. That decision was made, as Fleury probably has felt, was made a long time ago. And there's just no way Peter DeBoer is going to Marc-Andre Fleury. It's not happening. Okay? You will not see Marc-Andre Fleury in net tonight. Although there's a million reasons why you could or you should, but you're not going to see him tonight.
Do you think Fleury was told that he would get the second of back-to-backs? And then all of a sudden we have a scheduling snafu because of the 2-day break. And all of a sudden we've got another back-to-back. I mean, do you think that he was told that he would be playing every back-to-back or the second of the back-to-back?
No, I don't think Pete DeBoer would have painted himself in that corner.
Well, Peter wouldn't have known this was going to happen when he saw the schedule for the last round. I wouldn't think he knew that he was going to have a double back. Who in the hell would know they're going to have a double back-to-back in a final like this, in a series like this? So anyway, looks like Fleury will.
It was interesting last night. Roberto Luongo put a tweet out putting his 2 cents in, and he said that in theory you should have started Fleury in Game 6 with the ability, if you needed to, go back to your starter in Game 7. So clearly DeBoer doesn't have that option. If we are to assume that Lehner is his number 1 and Fleury is his number 2, now it's go big or go home by sticking with Lehner for Peter DeBoer.
We said it the other day, if Lehner loses 2 in a row, would there not be a debate as to whether you come back with, I mean, Fleury is 3-0, and he is hardly played for months, and there's no decision. We thought there would be a lot of discussion about this. I know this, if Vegas happened to lose this, and Lehner's not very good, there'll be lots of debate about this.
Oh, maybe the biggest debate in recent history, Mac, based on Fleury's resume, whether or not you even believe that he's still in his prime or not. If he isn't, he's not that far off. Like it hasn't, the 18-wheeler has not fallen over the cliff when it comes to Marc-Andre Fleury's career. He can still play at a high level, and we've already seen it in this series. So this one could be one of the biggest controversies in recent goaltending, memory.
Listen, when Marc-Andre Fleury was leaving Pittsburgh, there was a lot of people questioning where his game was and where it was headed. He looks to be better now than when he left Pittsburgh. So the question is, with Murray leaving, does he come back to Pittsburgh to play his next hockey? That will be fun to watch and see how that shakes out. But anyway, looks like he's not playing tonight. You've made the call.
We're going to get into that a little later on the show in terms of how many teams are out there either need a starter or a reliable backup. But it is remarkable. I've never seen it ever since I joined the NHL a million years ago. I can't ever recall seeing goaltending scenarios like we have seen or are about to see in the next few weeks, next few months. It is remarkable. So we're going to get into that a little later. Besides the Fleury Lehner situation, Mac, the biggest story is Thatcher Demko. And just when you said to yourself, as long as Vancouver doesn't try to win Game 6 like Game 5, they're going to be okay, because we can't see Demko making another, 42 saves, and then, no, wait a second, 48 saves and a shutout. Like, once again, at times, the ice is tilted. I can recall a couple of games in my career, Mac, where you throw the kitchen sink at a team and you can't, there's nothing that you can do. You could spend all of the time in their offensive zone. And if you can't beat one guy, it is the worst feeling in the world. And all those guys last night for Vegas on the podium are sitting, shaking their heads going, oh yeah, he's in our heads. Yeah, he's really good. And I mean, we got to figure this out. And it was remarkable to think that one guy, and I'm not taking away anything out of the rest of the team, but it's that obvious right now. He is just the sole difference maker right now on this going to a Game 7, Demko.
I mean, Demko is the difference maker, but the fact that he got a lead last night, early in the first, he gets a lead, gave them a little bit of jump, Vancouver. Second period, Demko was absolutely terrific. And you know what? Look, there's some big plays still happening on that Vancouver hockey team with some players there. So Demko is the story. Demko is, Markstrom, obviously a little bit banged up. I really believe Markstrom could play tonight if they needed him to play. But you cannot go away from Demko with what he's done. You've got to come back with Demko. And then Demko, who's your future goaltender?
Wow.
You said there's a lot of teams with goaltending issues. Well, look, Demko has come in an unbelievable situation and done something that I don't remember it being done since Ken Dryden or Rogie Vanshaw coming close to what has happened with this guy. Yeah, so it's fun to watch.
We talked. I talked yesterday about a small sample size out of Demko, and yet this is really tough times for each team planning the immediate future and what you're going to deal with in the next few years with a flat salary cap. Mac, Demko stole Markstrom's job, not only for the rest of this series, but probably in the future here. There's just no way it makes any sense right now for the Vancouver Canucks to get a contract in on Markstrom at $6.5, $7 million for what we probably think would be 3 or 4 years, when you can go to Demko's salary and save all that money so you can go give it to Quinn Hughes, so you can go give it to Pettersson. There's just no way that you're going to be able to sign Markstrom based on what you've seen out of Demko. He looks like he could handle 45, 50 games next year, or at least that would appear the plan, I would think.
Well, that's, look, where the Vancouver, we had talked coming into this bubble that the Vancouver Canucks were one team that were feeling really, really good about where they are as a franchise, where they are going to be in this playoff. They themselves, I didn't believe it. You talked about Vancouver being a surprise, but I'll tell you what, they are thinking Stanley Cup, maybe this year, Stanley Cup contender next year. You've got Markstrom, who is your MVP. He's the reason you're in the playoffs, number one. He's the reason, number two, you're in this series.
Yeah.
And you better be careful. You better be careful.
Mac,
you better be careful.
It's still about the cash, though. It's really about the balance. You may have to roll the dice.
You may have to, but you can't be guaranteed Demko is going to be a Stanley Cup goaltender. You've got a lot more body of work with Markstrom, who's still young enough to be a Stanley Cup goaltender. If they go buy Markstrom and they sign Demko, all of a sudden there's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure on that blue line. There's a lot of pressure on Benning. There's a lot of pressure on coaching. I wouldn't be too quick to jump to that. I know, and that's giving Demko full marks. Now, if you can't get a fair deal done with Markstrom, that's a whole different story. Has this cost Markstrom some money with Vancouver? Yeah, it's cost him some money. Has this made Demko some money?
I don't think it cost him his money. I think it cost him his job. I don't know. After being an MVP, you can lose your job over 2 games. No, over $7 million, $6.5 million, you could lose your job, Mac.
Unless you can get a fair deal done with Markstrom and you feel good where you are with everybody else in the right term with Markstrom. So I'd be nervous to move by him that quick, but you know what? Demko's been good.
Yeah, well, lots of talk
and you're
out
right.
there.
You got Pettersson and you got Hughes to sign and a few other young guys there to sign.
And they're going to want their cake, Mac.
I know.
Going to want
I know they are.
Makar's up this off season to sign.
Right.
Colorado.
This winter. He's up this winter.
This winter.
He's up at Christmas.
Guess what it's going to cost Colorado, Mac? Take a guess.
Whatever it costs Colorado, it's going to cost Vancouver whenever Hughes is up.
Okay. Well, I'm hearing for Makar, 10 million. 10 million times 8.
Your two buddies in Toronto. Okay. Your two buddies in Toronto caused that. Your boy Matthews and Marner caused that problem.
It's and there's going to be a lot of players that are going to feel the crunch of a flat cap, but Makar won't be one of them.
I got a funny feeling that the guys that won't feel it have been those big blue liners that have done the job, the Heiskanens, the Makars, the Hughes. They're not going to feel the cap crunch as much as the GMs are going to feel it because they've been difference makers.
Nick Kypreos here on the Real Kyper at Noon Show with Doug Maclean. We're also going to do a rating and review. We're going to read a few of those comments on Apple. One particularly, Mac, I really like. We're going to do that later on in the show. Joe Holka, who you also know in our Betting 101 segments, is going to join us a little later on the show. He's going to read some of the comments or questions out there for Mac. It's Friday. We like to do that on Friday, open it up a little bit and take your calls. I'm looking, Mac, at a few comments. I like Dr. Hockey out there. He says, if the Canucks don't go with Demko, they are on drugs.
They're going with Demko. Tell them to relax. I love one question I had here, and it's not time to do it. I know, but I'm going to throw it in. Is there any way that the Vancouver Canucks could wear the Toronto Maple Leafs uniforms tonight?
You want to
make those Leafs fans feel better?
You're going to explain yourself? Why is it important for you to give a shot to the Leafs every once in a while? I thought you just saved that. For Florida Panthers.
Well, I've got a few on that list.
Yeah, I know you got a few on that list. So Makar is eligible to sign a contract in the offseason. He still has a 1 year left. I don't think Colorado's interested in letting that go. And maybe we'll talk a little bit about the dangers, Mac, of having a few restricted free agents out there and the offer sheet. We saw, of course, Montreal take a real good shot at Sebastian Aho last year. I think more are coming, but we'll talk a little bit about that. Maybe even
you always love to stir it up with the PA. Offer sheets coming, stir it up with management.
You hate that stuff, management.
You'll
always be management.
You pro player
guy. I'm pro Carter Hart, and it seemed like because of Demko, maybe that storyline got buried a little bit, but 49 saves, Mac. And while we look at the Islanders and the possibility of this amazing system and how disciplined they are starting to crack a little bit because they could not put the Flyers away. Carter Hart and company and Kevin Hayes would not go away.
Carter Hart, to me, has been outstanding. Yeah, he had a couple off nights against Montreal, but overall, he's been terrific. And when you're going into tonight's game and you're saying Varlamov, Greiss, or Carter Hart, I don't know how you can bet against this kid when he's been their most important player. When the big boys weren't going, Carter Hart was there and has been, for a 22-year-old, we're talking Demko at 24. This guy's 22, and the job he's done, and especially in these big games where their season could have been over. He has been that good. And then to have Hayes step up with his performance last night, JVR even scored. For all you Leaf fans that are mad at me, I'm giving JR a little love here. Konechny makes a big play. Provorov has been real good. Giroux makes some big plays. Their big boys really stepped up, and their secondary guy. I mean, it was a good, solid effort. I mean, they wouldn't go away last night, and that's with leading and then having the lead fall. And the Islanders won't be easy. They should have had this series one and done, and now they've let it slip, and that's tough.
So we did
momentum is gone.
We saw Barzal back, but Couturier out. And that's when your goalie has to take it to another level because you can overcome a frontline guy. Yeah, it is possible to still win without a top 3, a top 6 player in your lineup if your goalie is making the saves that he has to. And you know what I found interesting too, Mac, was Alain Vigneault. And I like Alain a lot. But you know what was interesting too was he was asked about Barzal, and he said that he rode in the elevator with him at the hotel. And it was almost as if he was giving an update on his health status on a player that's not on his team. He's like, "Oh, I saw him. He looks fine. It could have been way worse. We're thankful." And I'm sitting there going,
but that's what he said about Gallagher too. He said that about Gallagher, didn't he? He looked fine. Gallagher looked fine leaving the ice with a broken jaw.
Let me ask you something. If you were the president or the GM of the Islanders, would you have a conversation with Alain and go, "Hey, Alain, I'll handle the updates on my players.
I'll handle the injury updates."
Not you.
But like I told you, he gave the Gallagher update too, but he forgot. The only thing he missed in his update was the kid had a broken jaw. So Alain's done a good job of that,
and the Islanders and, Eberle, the last year and a half, 2 years, he's gone, I think, to a pretty good level, a respectable level. But
Barzal maybe has had something to do with that.
Yeah, too, a little bit. But
a little bit, yeah. He's played well.
If you do get a chance to go just see the overtime goal by Provorov. If you go look at it, me and my names.
You have trouble with pronouncing names, eh? You have a lot of trouble with that.
Well,
I used to, but I work harder at it now. When I do my prep, I break it into syllables.
It's the 2 R's in Provorov that get me. It's the R's. I'm not good with the R's. Provorov. When you go look at Provorov's goal, watch Eberle try to go block that shot. And I don't want to shit all over him. I really don't. But
you want to. But you are.
My point is, go watch Mott with the Vancouver Canucks and about 18 of his teammates block shots against Vegas, and then go watch that shot block attempt by Eberle and tell me that they're in the same class. And
I remember Mark Habscheid teaching me as an assistant coach how you're supposed to block a shot. Do you remember Mark Habscheid?
Yes, I do.
Well, Habby was teaching me how to block. I said, "Habby, I don't have to block shots. I'm on the bench. You're the one that has to block the shot." he liked to go out like a goaltender and block them with the goalie look, and I thought, okay.
And I'm not saying
Everly didn't do that.
I'm not saying he went full flamingo,
but
and the full flamingo is when at least one leg comes up.
Is up in the air.
This
nice
one,
knee bend.
This one was as close as a flamingo as I've seen in a long time in the playoffs. And maybe he was tired. Maybe he just felt like he was thinking, I was going to maybe jump the gun here if I got a lucky bounce and I could take off on an odd man rush. I don't know, but when I watch Vancouver block shots, it's a difference maker for them, along with the how miraculous Demko has been. And then we got people that believe that you should be blocking shots, you shouldn't be blocking shots. Let the goalie take care of that, but I still think it's pretty heroic by the Vancouver Canucks to watch them time and time again frustrate Vegas with their block shots.
He wanted to give his stick to Mayfield. That's what he wanted to do with his stick, so he wouldn't even have the stick in his hand at that time when he went to block that shot. But listen, block shots have been a big part. And then even last night, you're looking at, the defense in front of Lehner. I mean, they were giving him some problems. And his blue line in Vegas. Vancouver's blue line I think they've done an unbelievable job on second chances, third chances. They've helped the kid in goal, block shots. They're paying a price. So,
according to Lehner last night, Theodore did a great job of blocking, Quinn's shot for him. Did you catch the stare down on Lehner to Theodore?
Who is by far your best defenseman? By far your best defenseman, Theodore. And Theodore, a couple of goals last night. He and Martinez are usually better than that, but it was a frustrated Lehner on a couple of those goals. There's no denying that.
And not to go back to this whole goaltending thing, but there's so many storylines that you could wonder about if Vegas loses this game. And I didn't like the stare at all. I've never liked it. I've never liked any type of call out by a goaltender. I've never, ever liked a goaltender smashing his stick against a crossbar after a goal. Sometimes there is a knee-jerk reaction to a bad goal. I get that, but I didn't like the stare down at all. And I'm just wondering now about that type of energy. Lehner going back in for Game 7 and carrying that type of energy into Game 7 when it's up against your most popular player in the dressing room not playing. And I just think maybe the stars are kind of aligned now for the Vancouver Canucks here.
Well, I'll tell you what, look, and you never know. I mean, look, Demko has to give them another great game, but I'm telling you, Nick, I don't remember an elimination game watching two performances like Hughes' performance last night and Pettersson's. And that's with Pettersson on two unbelievable screens where he was in the goaltender's eyes, and Hughes with unbelievable neutral zone play where he gains the blue line, draws the defense, makes a great pass to Miller once, gets it back. Like Hughes and Pettersson are unfreaking believable.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. And look, Pacioretty, I didn't really notice Patches last night a lot.
Well,
he was okay.
I told you, Patch, don't ever look and watch Max Pacioretty ever. All you need to do at the end of the game is go down the game sheet and see a goal or two or
that's his history.
3 points. That's it.
That's his history. But the question is, I mean, we watched Pettersson last night chase down Stone on a breakaway. I mean, I don't know if it's a lining up, but those two kids are unbelievable to watch what they bring to the table. Hughes was hurt. Pettersson's been challenged physically since the opening fake play-in, whatever it was called. He's been challenged physically, and what's he do? He just keeps coming and doing everything that you would never expect. He's that I mean, those two kids are that damn good. I'd be nervous if I was Vegas tonight. Vegas should be a better team. But I'm telling you what,
and
maybe you're right. Maybe the stars are aligned.
And I'm
loving what I'm seeing.
I think the 24 hours, and maybe there's a few people that we can sit there and say fatigue. I don't get the fatigue. I think it's way overused by the media, Mac. I really do. I think the energy right now for the Vancouver Canucks in another 24 hours totally plays in their favor. 100%.
And they're young.
Fatigue.
They're young, Nick.
They're young. They've got great energy. And Mac, it's not like you got to jump on a bus to get to an airport, to fly into a city, to check into a hotel. Come on.
But you know what?
Where's the fatigue? You go back to the hotel, you get your treatment. You're on a medical table getting treatment.
No, you don't. You throw that kit bag into your room and you head to the rooftop bar. Come on.
No, you don't.
Remember Hal Gill? You remember Hal Gill?
Travis Green would never allow that.
But I'll tell you this. There is an unbelievable vibe on that hockey team right now. We talked about it before the playoffs. Green has done a terrific job creating that atmosphere. The kids have done an amazing job creating that atmosphere. Benning has done a good job bringing in Miller, who I questioned. I questioned that deal and that term. And Miller to snap that puck home last night on that play, on that goal he made from Hughes. I mean, how important has he been? Bo Horvat. I mean, Tanev, Edler. I mean, you go on and on with this group. Myers. Yeah. Myers comes back from the injury. He's given them some big minutes. Look, I'd be nervous, but come on, Vegas has got to be a better team. But I sure as hell wouldn't count on it.
They are a good team. And we can argue all day long that the better team didn't win this series tomorrow. We could do that, but that's not how the game is played. The game's played right to your last player, and if your best player on both sides is your goaltender, then those odds of winning the series go up incredibly. So
I remember Terry Murray saying that in our series against Philly, we're a better team, and they kept replaying his quotes right till the next day after the series was over. Yeah, but we were the better team. Yeah. Okay.
And while we're talking about Game 7s, Joe Holka, am I boosting games today to give my Real Kyper at Noon fans and listeners a chance to get better odds than anywhere else?
Yeah, we are actually boosting a couple games today. So both of these, we talked about it a little bit before, Kyper, but Dallas and Colorado earlier today at blitzbet.eu was at under 6.5 goals. It was minus 125. We're actually going to push that to plus 120 for people. So nice little boost from Kyper there. And in the Vancouver-Vegas game, under 6.5 goals was actually at minus 137 earlier today. Again, we're going to boost that up to you for 110 on the plus side of things. So we're going to get a bunch of, free action out there for a lot of people. Some nice lines. Kyper, you're just giving the people what they want all the time with these boosts. It's insane.
I'm giving it away. I'm giving away a Harley. I'm giving away free money almost. Come on.
When do I learn what this stuff means? Minus 320.
Go back. You can watch.
How do I get this information?
Well, what betting kind of 101 do you have, Doug? Let's hear it. Let's hash it out right now.
Minus 320. What? Anyway,
that just means they're a favorite, Doug. Honestly, that's the simplest way to put it. You can be a really large favorite. There's times when like Tampa Bay is like minus 300 against like the Arizona Coyotes, something like that. But the fact that these people like in a Game 7 are going to get an under at plus odds is just something that just like rarely ever happens, right? So it's awesome.
Only on the Real Kyper at Noon show. And while we're at it, if you even put $1 on any of this, it makes you eligible to win a Harley Davidson.
Is that $1 Canadian dollar? $1 Canadian dollar?
That is, yeah, we're doing Canadian deposits only. I'm working on the rest of you. I have my people working. My people are back here. They're over there right now working on it. Right? Right, Joe?
Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, so speaking of Dallas and Colorado, Matt.
Listen, I'm not finished talking Pettersson and Hughes. I just want to tell you how damn good they are and how excited I am about those two kids. I mean, how lucky is Jim Benning and Trevor? Well, they drafted them. That's why they deserve it.
Good on them. And they also look pretty good at Demko. And in 2014. Now, Demko also was coming off, I think, a hip surgery, Mac, and might have scared a few people off. And I think the following year he had another hip surgery. So
Brian Burke said that's why they took Mason Raymond. Not Mason Raymond.
No, not Mason Raymond.
Mason McDonald. Who was playing for the Charlottetown Islanders, by the way, and he was a good junior goaltender. Berkey always has a reason. When I screw up a draft pick, I take heat. Berkey always has a reason. Oh, well, that's why we – okay, politician or what?
McDonald still has a chance, we hear. So, he's no Demko right now, but he's still got a chance. So,
where's he playing?
In the American Hockey League.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
I like Mason.
There you go. Okay, so keep the comments coming. Hit the like button. How about a big smash? Mac, tell them what to do.
I already hit mine before the show started. I didn't even have to wait to hear how good it was. I knew it was going to be great, so I hit the love. I call it the love button.
Give Mac some love, everybody out there. Awesome. So let's touch a little bit on the pressure on the Dallas Stars here, Mac, and again, good storylines, backup storylines, players we didn't expect, and Michael Hutchinson in the first Game 5 he played in, I said, Mac, you could have played goal and probably had the same results. Game 6, no, he played a lot better. And we assume that they're going to ride him for 3 in a row. So how much pressure on Dallas to win one game that Michael Hutchinson has played in 3? Just win one.
Benn can't pronounce Francouz's name to be able to say that he's starting tonight. I mean, there's no way they come back with Hutchinson. And you know what? Honest to God, this has shocked me. I mean, you've got a 3-1 series lead, and the number 1 and the number 2 goaltender is injured. And you have putting in Michael Hutchinson, who, look, a great guy. He's paid his dues. It's one of the great playoff stories. But you have a 3-1 series lead and you let this slip away? Are you kidding me? This is devastating to the Dallas Stars and Rick Bowness and Jimmy Nill. I mean, this is devastating. I mean, and Nathan MacKinnon, like, who's going to stop Nathan MacKinnon? And who's going to stop Rantanen and Landeskog and Makar? And Kadri. Leaf fans, I got Kadri's name in there for you.
You don't want to ever leave it to a Game 7.
Well, I mean, look, Dallas can win. We know they're good enough with Heiskanen and the blue line. But good God, how can they have let this be pissed away? Seriously.
I got him fired up, folks. No question about that. Mac,
just a minute. I picked Colorado, by the way, to be in the finals. You're taking all the love for Vancouver. Yeah. I picked Colorado to be in the finals, right?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Oh, I do. You know what else I remember? You picked the Boston Bruins. That's what I remember. But we're not going to talk about that, are we?
But I didn't know Tuukka was going to have to go home. I did not know Tuukka was going home.
And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it.
If Tuukka would have told me he was going home, I would not have picked the Boston Bruins. In fairness, what's that favorite? How do I get compensated for that, Joe?
Are you surprised that Chara has come out as quick as he did to state his case that
he'd like some money?
I want to come back. I want some money, but I also want to know what my team's going to look like. And is Torrey Krug on that team? What's happening? And then Krug says, I don't know about a discount for the Boston Bruins. And now what could have been some easy decisions for Sweeney and company now become tough ones because the players have stated their case.
When you want to keep your team together, you do things to make it happen. Look what I did for the Real Kyper show. Joe,
yeah, go on.
All of a sudden, Mountain Joe is zipped right up now. He's not saying a word.
Oh my God!
I sucked it up.
I'm here.
I sucked it up.
You gave me a discount.
I'm the team guy. I'm the team guy here.
I don't recall a discount for you. Oh my God! I want Tuesdays and Thursdays off. I want to be in my RV. By the way, happy anniversary. You guys went out on your RV on your anniversary. That's so sweet. Very sweet.
Very nice. Yes, very nice. Yes.
You want to say anything to Jill? I know Jill watches every day, live streams every day.
Jill loves me on this show. And she had a very happy 43rd. We went to Michael Smith. You know Michael Smith, the famous chef? We went down to his place on PEI last night, had a marvelous dinner, and then we went to the St. Peter's Bay campground and wheeled in there.
Awesome.
It was very nice. It opened up a bottle of wine. I had a stogie. I had a cigar.
God,
very nice. Very nice.
That's what we call
people
retirement.
In the trailer next to me really enjoyed the smell of the cigar, so it was nice.
That's what we call retirement. So
anyway, Jill's very happy. She's looking forward to another 43 years.
What do you do? You going to spend $6-7 million on Torrey Krug?
Torrey Krug, they've got to sign Torrey Krug somehow, some way. They're not good enough on the back end. They got McAvoy and he are there, and Carl. I mean, the three of them. That's their big three. They've got to get those three guys back if they're going to stay in contention. They really do.
Okay, I want
to
go around the league a little bit here too, because we're still coming off a bit of a head scratcher between the Montreal Canadiens and the St. Louis Blues with Jake Allen and Montreal taking $15 million in goaltending cap money right now. They've got something that other teams don't have, Mac. Montreal's got cap space and cash. So some have cap space. They don't necessarily have cash. We do know how that works with dead money out there. But Montreal seems to be in a position where Bergevin thought that if Jake Allen comes in and can win me 3 or 4 more games a year than my other backup goalie, then that's going to be enough to get me in the playoffs next season.
You know what? I like the move. I had somebody mention to me the other day, is there any way that this is a precursor for Carey Price being exposed with 5 years at $10.5 million left? Seattle, do they take him? Does Carey Price really want to go west? I think it's what you said. I think it's you don't win. You don't make the playoffs if you don't have 20 or 25 games. I think by your backup, you got to have good backup goaltending. Allen can give them good backup, better than they've had for the last number of years. And Primo gets a chance to play one more year in the minors, and you could probably move Allen out after that. But Carey Price at $10.5 million for 5 more years, and he's 36 years of age right now. Is he 36 or 35?
No, Shea Weber's 36.
So he's 34.
No, he's 33.
33.
He might be turning 34. I don't know. Michael.
Check that out.
Check that out for us.
So when he's up, he's only going to be 39 and making $10.5 million.
Yeah, but he's damn good right now.
Oh, they got to keep Carey Price. I mean, Carey Price and Allen, with the way Suzuki and Kokoniemi and the way Weber, Petrie, they got to get signed. Okay. They've got a chance to be a pretty good team.
Okay, pretty good team and contending team for the Stanley Cup. What is the difference here?
Well, if Kokoniemi and Suzuki can become as good as Pettersson and Hughes, which I don't think we're going to see because one of them, number one, isn't a defenseman. I don't think Montreal are there yet. I think Montreal can make the real playoffs, not the fake playoffs like we saw this year, but make the real playoffs next year. Can they win a round? Maybe. But they sure aren't going to win one if they don't have Carey Price, and they aren't going to make the playoffs if they don't have Carey Price. So that pretty well squashes that rumor.
Why are we seeing about 20 teams right now have issues with their goaltending? I can't ever recall seeing this before. Starting goaltenders, if I just go talk about questionable starting goaltenders, San Jose, LA, Boston, Pittsburgh, Chicago, Vegas, Even though they have two good ones now, we don't know what Lehner's going to do. One's not signed. One Peter DeBoer doesn't like as well as the other one. Toronto, Frederik Andersen, Freddie Andersen. They're trying to trade Frederik Andersen. How do you trade a guy with $5 million left that you question on getting a team out of a first round? And he's had ample opportunities here. And yes, 3 weeks ago,
I said it before,
Mac.
I don't think Freddie's their problem. I mean, there's been a lot of other problems besides Freddie Andersen. Like, Freddie can't score them goals. That's Marner and Matthews and Tavares and those guys' job to score some damn goals. Freddie can get you in the playoffs. And if Freddie's with a better team, Freddie can win in the first round. A team that's more ready to play playoff hockey, Freddie can win a round. So I don't think he's their problem. And is Matt Murray going to be better for them? I know he's won a couple of cups.
I brought up Matt Murray's name, I think, a day or two after the Leafs got knocked out. And that was no accident. Okay.
Oh,
we do talk to people. Kyle Dubas loves Matt Murray. Okay. Loves him. And there's no question that he's knocked on Jimmy Rutherford's door. We already know that they had a trade. They already had a trade involved with Kapanen. We know that. Mac, this is my theory. And it's a theory, and it's not been confirmed, or I don't have any insiders telling me this. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if at the end of that conversation with Pittsburgh on the Kapanen trade and the prospects changing hands, that there wouldn't have been something that said, okay, and I'll take Matt Murray, or there's a future deal involved with Matt Murray, but I've got to move Frederik Andersen first. Do you see that scenario at all? Because we do know Matt Murray and Kyle Dubas are linked through their Sault Ste. Marie days.
No, I understand, and I don't disagree that Dubas would like to have him, but is this the right guy? I mean, look, I know Matt Murray was terrific when he first came into Pittsburgh, but Matt Murray's one of the reasons they lost to Montreal this year.
Matt Murray,
they couldn't even play him in the last
Murray's
game.
won Stanley Cups, Mac.
I don't care.
He's got a general manager that loves him.
I don't care. It was a few years. I just haven't seen enough from Matt Murray the last 2 years to indicate that he's going to be the savior for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But hey, you're right. He's won 2 cups, and they want to get rid of Freddie. I don't think Freddie's their problem.
He's not the problem.
And I don't think Matt Murray is going to be the solution. Matt Murray will be a better solution if they get a couple of better defensemen. Like, Kyle Dubas has got to find 2 top 4 defensemen. That's what he's got to find.
I know, but they also like Jack Campbell a lot. And if they don't feel like Jack Campbell's ready for next season, then a guy like Matt Murray could buy them time. Matt Murray's biggest attraction,
for Jack Campbell to become their number 1 goalie?
Yeah.
That's what they think?
Maybe in a year and a half. Maybe
in a year and a half, I'll be on HBO too. Or maybe I'll be on CBS, or maybe I'll be out of it. Like, seriously, what
you don't think Jack Campbell has any chance to be a number 1 goalie? Because I think the Leafs brought him in and they thought that he did. But the attraction for Matt Murray is he's got another year at I believe 3-4.
That helps.
It's cheaper.
That helps.
It's just cheaper. You don't have to spend $5 million on Freddie, on a goalie that you stopped believing in.
I just, when you're the Toronto Maple Leafs and you're trying to build, have they watched the teams that are, well, I guess I can't say that. Markstrom has been so good. Lehner was great. I mean, the goaltending of the playoffs, and then you look at the Hutchisons and you look at the Demkos and you say, well, we saw Grace go in and win. I mean, I don't know. I'd be looking for a couple of defensemen. That's what I'd be looking for right now.
We know Calgary is also a team that needs a goaltending situation settled.
What about Edmonton?
And Edmonton too. But I just wanted to touch base a little bit on Jeff Ward, his status as a coach in Calgary. I'm hearing that they talk a lot, and it appears that they are leaning towards bringing him back. But Mac, every day that goes by that you don't let him know or let the fan base know who their head coach is going to be next season, I think actually hurts Jeff Ward's chances. So as a president, general manager, what would you do? Would you come out and get that over with, or would you sit there and still look at all your options, I guess?
Well, look, I think it's running out on Brad Treliving to be able to have the luxury of hiring coaches. He's had 5 of them in his term there. So he's got to make a call and make it pretty quick. What are his options out there? Babcock's out there. Gerard Gallant's out there. Gerard Gallant's not going to end up in Calgary. Babcock's not going to end up in Calgary. What are his options? Jeff Ward cleaned up a mess. That dressing room was a disaster in Calgary. We know Peter's gotten all the trouble for his racist comments from years ago, but that dressing room was still a mess. And Jeff Ward did a hell of a job straightening it out, cleaning it up.
It still needs some more sweeping, I think.
It still needs some sweeping, and you've already talked about who maybe it's swept out. But I don't think Jeff Ward. To me, Jeff Ward did a job worthy of getting a new contract, in my opinion.
Now, yesterday we talked on the Real Kyper at Noon show about Babcock. I don't know if you heard, but I spoke of actually contact between Babcock and the Washington Capitals prior to the league shutting down for COVID.
Where did I hear that? I heard that yesterday morning.
Not necessarily that money has been discussed or is being discussed. We do know that the interviewing process continues, but I would think that Babcock would be at the top of their list. But Mac, we know he's not going to come cheap, and they can only balance so much money off the next 2 years that he's owed by the Toronto Maple Leafs. But they're going to have to step up and pay this guy. An organization that's kind of been known for going a little bit on the cheap side. Are they ready to go spend money on Mike Babcock? Really?
I can't wait to see the Babs Sox and the Ovi Sox clash. I can't wait for that clash. Like, seriously, Babcock and Ovi?
It's just
I don't know about that one.
For a year or two. Look, that's the window for Washington.
Laviolette's got to be in the mix there. Gerard Gallant's in the mix there. Which way do they go? I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in Dallas with Rick Bowness, whether Rick will be back. He's interim coach, I believe, still. Is something going to happen there?
I don't like his odds if he doesn't win. I can tell you that.
And I love Rick Bowness. We go way back. But, I think that Gerard Gallant's going to get one of the jobs. Babcock, I'm not so sure on. Laviolette will get a job, I would think. But
all right. Mac,
I'm not sold on that one. And I know I heard it from you yesterday, and I know when you say something, it's not usually BS. A little bit sometimes, but not total.
Good. I'm glad you said that, okay? I'm glad you said that I'm not full of shit, because I'm going to read a comment that is 100% accurate, and it's from our rating and review on Apple Podcasts. And it comes from Nico Kofty via the Apple Podcast. It says, "Big fan of the show. Love it when Kyper gives it to Mac." That's when I'm telling the truth, Mac. Right
it sure the hell isn't money that you're giving me. Is that what he was talking about? You love it when you give me something?
Well, you'll like this one. This one's from medic_06. This is again from Apple Podcast, the rating and reviews. It's so great to have Kyper and Mac back. You guys are the best at what you do. Try not to miss an episode. Thanks for doing this podcast. So there you go. Okay. You feel a little love right now?
What was his name?
Medic_06. So if you guys keep those rating and reviews coming, hit the like button for Mac, show him some love. He goes home and he tells his wife of 42 years, Mac, is that what it is?
43.
43 years, how many thumbs up he gets every time he's on the show. Okay.
How do I get on that Apple stuff to figure that out so I can listen and get all those reviews myself?
Listen, just try to get your VCR to stop blinking 12 o'clock. Start there, and then we'll advance you to the other stuff. Okay, let's bring in Joe Holka because Joe's got some questions or comments out there. It's Friday. We want to open it up to all of you. If you're out there making those comments, Joe, take a look at them and pass them on to us, okay?
Yeah, there's a bunch of good ones. I think before we get into it, Kipper, I think that the conversation that we had today earlier about Game 7s going under more often than not, I give the people a little bit of an insight to what you meant by that.
Well, I know, Mac, from my experience playing in a few, it's all about playing the conservative side, if I have to say that, and being patient. And yeah, it's worked a lot for Barry Trotz, but it's that type of discipline over 60 minutes, which means you don't want to open it up, which tends to believe that, Mac, that we're going to see less goals, more of a goaltending feel, which means, to Joe's point, that you'd want to probably bet the under.
Okay.
So as a coach, how do you prepare for a Game 7? Where's the focus? Is it on specialty teams? Is it just structured defensively, not taking chances?
No, you know what? To me, it's that getting that first goal is such an important thing. And I remember our Game 7 when we played Pittsburgh when I was coaching Florida. We scored the first goal. I believe it was Tommy Fitz scored the first goal for us early in the first. All of a sudden, whoa. Confidence is there. We saw it last night in Vancouver. They get that first goal. I think the first goal is good. You cannot tell your team in a Game 7 to be patient and sit back. You gotta go. I don't care if it's the Islanders, the Flyers, Canucks, Vegas. It's Game 7. And you don't hold anything back.
No, you
don't. But I
like
the under thing.
And it's such a fine line. On how you feel if you do happen to score an early goal.
Oh,
and not that you're going to want to sit back and go into a shell, but there is a thought more so in a Game 7 than probably any other game in the series that conceivably you could win 1-0. Like, it's enough. One is enough in a Game 7 if you are really disciplined defensively.
Do you know what, Nick? I mean, when you said you can actually win 1-0, you really just pissed me off big time. Because if you recall, Colorado in 7 or 6 periods knocked us out of the Stanley Cup Finals with Yuri Krupp's goal that won 1-0 was the score. 1-0.
I didn't even think of that.
Unfortunately, as a lot of those chirpers that are sending stuff would say, yeah, but it wasn't a Game 7, Doug. It was a Game 4.
Clinching game. How about that?
But anyway, look, you're right. It's the way the goaltending has been performing.
Yeah.
The way teams can defend and shut things down around their net. You can win 1-0.
All right, Joe, what else you got for us, pal? It's Friday, baby.
Yeah, so there's a couple more here. I think that the one we had earlier on Twitter is something I've heard people talking about recently. People are actually comparing Demko to Carey Price in terms of just how calm he's been in the net. Do you guys see that, or is that just getting a little bit too carried away?
No, what they see is poise, and what they see is a level of quiet confidence, and Demko has that. I look at him, and I don't think of Carey Price, to be quite honest with you, but as far as the demeanor is concerned, I think he's a guy, and you listen to his post-game comments, and he doesn't project. He's just very quiet, and I like him a lot. I really do, and I don't see a guy that gets excited on the podium. I don't see it in interviews. I don't see it on the ice. He has tremendous poise out there for a guy that should be paddling like hell underwater, Mac.
This is a kid that's had a reputation of being going to be a franchise goaltender for a long time, guys. This is a guy that's overcome, as you mentioned earlier in the show, hip surgery. This is a guy that is still considered, and Vancouver love him. But let's not forget about Markstrom. Markstrom was a second-round pick, early second-round pick of the Florida Panthers, expected to be a franchise goalie. He didn't cut it in Florida. They traded him, and he's become a franchise goaltender there. So, look, it's a similar type thing. Demko's had to pay his dues. Markstrom's had to pay his dues. I like Demko. What he's done for me in 2 games, whoa.
But if we look at, I don't know, 75, 80% of the goalies, there is a slow maturation to get to a certain point.
Totally.
And we've seen goalies most often than not peak at 27, 28. Markstrom's the perfect example. While the skill is there and it's always been there, with these guys, it's like your PGA golfer. They're all talented. They all can crush the ball 380. But what is between the ears?
But you know what? I think back to Pascal Leclerc. He was our first pick, a goaltender out of Halifax Mooseheads. He comes in. He had 9 shutouts. 9 shutouts playing for Ken Hitchcock in my last year and the next year in Columbus. And he gets a serious knee injury and was never the same goaltender after that. Never the same goaltender. And it can happen. It's such a tough position. You just don't know with young goaltenders. Chris Mason, we drafted in the 3rd round. We hadn't even seen him play before we drafted him. And he goes on to win the Calder. I mean, it's just, it's tough. You're right. It takes a long time. And then when they do make it, the longevity, it comes and goes depending on health.
I know we are still talking about a small sample size here for Demko, but what he has shown in the last 2 games, Markstrom never showed, that early in his career.
Never.
And
You're right. You're right.
Some of them just don't.
Yeah.
Some of them just don't. But we are in an era right now where the general managers don't have the luxury of waiting, Mac. They don't. They got to make some hard decisions now, and you gotta guesstimate now, because you can't give up bad contracts, or you can't have certain players in certain positions eat up most of the money. And he's given Jim Benning a wonderful opportunity to say, don't go spend $6.5 million on this position. You can have me for $1 million.
The new GM in Florida, they move Bobrovsky's money out of Columbus. They're so thrilled that Elvis and Korpisalo have gotten the job done for half the money, the 2 of them together, half the money of Bobrovsky. And now he's in Florida with Bobrovsky's $10.5 million. Good luck on trying to build around that.
All right, Joe, let's do a couple more, because we're an hour deep. This is the fastest hour. It's unbelievable.
I'm playing golf at 4:00 too, by the way, boys. Not that it's a big deal, but
Well, we got a great audience out there.
We're rolling, boys. Look at this. We got almost
great
400
numbers out there.
Live.
We got a lot of people watching, a lot of people excited as we are, Mac, for Game 7s.
No. People got to nap yesterday during Healy, so then they were fresh today.
Glenn Healy was awesome. See, you're just jealous. You know why you're jealous? Because Glenn Healy told us a great story about Sylvester Stallone, Rocky Balboa, coming in the dressing room when he was an LA King during a playoff game and started pumping them up with Rocky stories. See, what did you have? Singer, the mascot, come in?
The same day Rocky was around our dressing room in LA, so was Shaq. And Radek Dvorak was in the can using the bathroom. And he was yelling for toilet paper because he was in the stall. And Shaq came into the room off the dressing room, and Shaq put the hands right over the top and handed him the toilet paper.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Shaquille O'Neal gave Radek Dvorak toilet paper.
That's my gosh. Did he slam dunk it?
So top that one, Healy.
Oh my, that's a great LA superstar story. You won up Glenn Healy with his Sylvester Stallone. And he mentioned how short. See, that's another thing. He mentioned how short Sylvester Stallone was. Really short.
Yeah.
Really
I couldn't believe it. I ran into him in the hallway like, no, you're not Rocky. Are you kidding me? You're Rocky?
See, so you one up him with a guy that's 7'1", and Rocky's what, 5'2", 5'3"?
Exactly.
All right, Joe, give us some more here. I think everybody's having a lot of fun out there.
I love it. We're officially off the rails, but I love it. So basically, one of the better ones I think I saw in the chat on YouTube specifically was from Lego Rocks 99. He said that someone on Twitter yesterday was actually comparing the 2020 Canucks to the 2009 Blackhawks. Pettersson, Kane, Quinn, Keith, Bo Horvat, Johnny Taves. You guys see that comparison at all? Like a young Vancouver team maybe gets to a point where they're a Chicago Blackhawk team eventually?
I love the skill and the character of Bo Horvat and Pettersson. So if you want to tell me that they could be to Vancouver what Taves and Kane have been in the past, I'm with them 100%. No question that is an incredible 1-2 punch leading the way, Mac.
Yeah, I'm with you on that, and then I look at Hughes compared to, as you said, Duncan Keith.
Yeah,
and you add some complement. Let's not forget about the complementary players that were around the Seabrooks and on and on. I mean, we saw Saad's contribution, we saw Bufflin contribution in one Stanley Cup run. We saw numerous secondary guys that were so good. What about who's the Hossa of the Chicago? Who's the Hossa of the Vancouver Canucks when you compare them to Hossa with the Chicago Blackhawks, and how important he was to that team?
And they had a Bufflin too that commanded a ton of respect early.
So there, but you know Chicago. What? I love what I'm seeing from Vancouver. I'm like you, Nick. We don't cheer for teams, we cheer for people. But I have a hard time not cheering for this Vancouver team. I really do. Especially since Vegas fired George
I will say this. I will say this. That this is as likable of a team that I've ever seen in Vancouver. That you really, really like these guys.
And you used to hate the Canucks. I know.
No, that's not true.
Well, they played against you in '94.
Well, and everybody just associates that. But I love watching the Vancouver Canucks this season.
I do too.
And prior to this bubble hockey, they were my sleeper team. I said on record, we can go back to the tape, pull a Don Cherry and pull the tape out, that I think I
agreed with you.
They could get to a conference final, and they are one game away. So I will say this about Quinn Hughes, and I love everything about him, but Duncan Keith had that. I'll carve your eyes. I'll carve your eyes out if I have to win mentality, and he can be a dirty SOB.
Oh, he's tough.
And I don't think Quinn Hughes has that in him, and but the skill level is off the charts, and we saw it last night. 2 unbelievable plays. On the goals. I love about Quinn Hughes too, just to add on to you, this is a guy that was banged up, and this is a guy who comes back in a game like last night, and what he does in that game last night, off the charts for me. Yeah. I love Duncan Keith. Man. And Quinn Hughes is going to have to get stronger for no other reason, because he's going to win Norris's, as talented as you are, and there's some one-offs that you can have great offensive years, but you have to be great in your own zone. And for Quinn Hughes to be great in his own zone, he's going to have to get stronger. Yeah. And, right now he relies a lot on Tanev, Mac. A lot on Tanev in his own zone.
We said the other day, to me, Tanev and Edler are playing their best hockey of their career. Maybe they're not as fancy as they were before. Maybe Edler's not doing everything, but I love what those two guys
But they're getting the job done, Mac, in their own zone.
They sure are.
Okay, Joe, one more, and then we're going to let everybody go and get ready for that 4 p.m. Eastern start time. Dallas and Colorado.
Tea time.
Yeah, we'll get Doug to his golf game here.
I'm going to the Southwest restaurant after, on the water in New London. The game will be on there. I'm only playing 9 holes. I'll be there to watch the game.
You know what can get you? You know what can get you to watching the game a lot earlier? What? Not 4-putting.
You're not wrong.
All right, boys. So basically, I think we should wrap up. Let's talk a little bit more about tonight in terms of who you guys think is going to pull this thing out, right? So we had someone in the chat earlier, Chris Dale, says, who is your MVP tonight and who wins both games? So I think that's a decent one to end with.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
Who's playing?
I'll go with.
Which game do you want
Yeah,
first?
I don't see MacKinnon blowing this one. I don't. I think he's going to be so jacked for this, and I think that they're rolling. And Colorado came in as the favorites, and now that they've got it going, it's led by what we all agree is right now, playing wise, the best player in the world, Nathan MacKinnon.
Yeah, look, obviously Hutchison makes me a little nervous. Does the goaltending really come to roost tonight, being with your number 3 goaltender in your organization? But MacKinnon is on a mission. He's been so spectacular. I'm agreeing with Nick on this one. It crushes me to agree with him, but I am.
Awesome. And you know what? One thing I wanted to mention in the show early, and I keep forgetting because that's my mind today, is Oscar Lindholm and Mac. What started out as maybe just an inspirational kind of thing, having him around, turned into 17 and a half minutes for this guy. It's just an amazing, wonderful story for the Philadelphia Flyers and for all of us hockey fans.
It's a great story because he had to battle through really just a challenging illness, and for him to come back and play 17 plus minutes and to hear his teammates talk about him, like it was like Oscar, well, he was with us all year, but they all know what this kid went through. And that was heartwarming to watch that last night. It really, really was.
Well, we'll leave it on that note.
Mac, don't kid yourself. He helped them win.
I think we've gone almost an hour and 15 minutes, and that's a long time for you. Really
I'm not trying to build my career, guys. I'm not at that career building stage. I don't have to be on 2 hours a day.
You can't go an hour and 15 minutes at night without taking a pee. And Glenn Healy had some good pee stories yesterday too. Don't one up on Glenn Healy on a pee story, please. We don't need it. We're going to end on a good note. Doug Maclean, Summerside, PEI's favorite son. Thanks, yeah, Mac. Right. Enjoy your golf game. Enjoy the games on the weekend. And for all of you who have stuck with us right from the get-go, so much appreciation from the Real Kyper at Noon show to all of you. We hope you had a great time, got a little insight, got you ready for the games. We're certainly excited for all our Game 7s in 27 and a half hours, right? 3 Game 7s. How cool is that? And we didn't even mention the Raptors finish. 0.5 seconds. What a great 24 hours in sports. That was awesome to watch. So enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you Monday on the Real Kyper at Noon show. Take care, everybody. Be safe.